Howdy everyone, especially you Americans out there, because this is a special Independence Day edition of Ups and Downs from Monday Night Raw. And quick spoiler alert, because there was quite a lot of strange Independence Day based shenanigans on the show, the Downs are probably going to beat the Ups. That's just a little spoiler, we'll see how it goes, they might not. But anyway, on we go. Oh, say can you see by the... Now we start off with that opening segment from Raw, which was a 6-minute food fight, and while there were very good parts, you know, Kevin Owens was funny, hiding under the table to get away from the fight. There was Cesaro, and I think it was Apollo Crews, locked in an arm wrestle, and that they refused to break the arm wrestle while it was going on. And my personal favourite bit, Fandango just spraying himself with whipped cream. But all those little funny parts aside, it really took away from the sort of tension and intensity that we're used to from a typical episode of Monday Night Raw. I was hoping they might try and, you know, find a balance between the fun sort of holiday stuff and the more serious storyline based stuff, and they just didn't. It set the tone, and I'm afraid it goes down as our first down of today's episode, so that's a down. Number 2, Titus v Rusev. I'm afraid that's a down again. While it's always good that Rusev's kept a strong champion, and he's really sort of rebuilding the US title after it was dragged down slightly by Ryback and Kalisto around WrestleMania time. Titus ONeil, man, what's going on? Vince clearly still hates him. Like, he tapped out on Father's Day in front of his kids, and now he's tapped out on Independence Day while dressed as Uncle Sam. It was uncomfortable to watch, and I just feel so bad for Titus, and in sympathy towards him, I'm going to give that a down as well. Now, some of you may know, and I probably should have mentioned this in the introduction, this video series is based on a series of articles written by the wonderful Scott Carlson over at WhatCulture.com, and although we agree a lot of the time, we also disagree sometimes, so it's really worth watching the video and reading the article too. And I think this may have been one of the points we disagreed on. Charlotte and Sasha Banks' promo segment, which then turned into a brawl. Even though this wasn't the best promo work we've seen by either of the two women, I think it still should count as an up, because it was a great idea in theory, let down slightly by the execution. But the characters of both women in this storyline have been established so well. Charlotte's the arrogant, brash champion. She's had everything handed to her on a plate. Sasha's the intensely popular up-and-coming challenger. So it bodes well for their eventual showdown. I just think they could have done slightly better with the promo itself. But I'm going to give it an up, just because it was such a good idea in theory. And now, sort of the opposite. This is a down, and it concerns Ambrose and The Miz. It was a poor idea in theory, but it was executed quite well. They had a very nice little match, but I think the sort of laziness of this booking really drags it down and does make it a down, because we saw this exact match. This is the same time they've done this match twice in a row, and both times it's been billed as a unique champion versus champion, you know, showdown, and it's really not. And it doesn't do anything for The Miz at all, really. Especially as he's meant to be the secondary sort of champion in the entire company, so I'm afraid it's a down. Now, our next point, which is an up, concerns my personal MVP of the whole night, Seth Rollins. No surprises there. We all know how much I love Seth Rollins. I'm sure many of you do as well. He's absolutely fantastic. He worked a great little match with Dolph Ziggler, and then cut a fantastic promo on top of the announce table where he ran down Roman Reigns, and then to put the icing on the cake of the segment, Ambrose hit him with the brutal dirty deeds on one of the announce tables, and it didn't break, which always makes it look that little bit more brutal. So that segment, from the match to the promo to the brawl afterwards, from top to bottom, that was maybe the high point of the show, so that's definitely an up. Now, this next point is a down, but it's not a dig at Vickie Guerrero. I'd just like to stress that, because I think she was a misunderstood heel back in her heyday. She could often be fantastic, but her segment on Raw was quite painful to watch, in all honesty. WWE are now obsessed with this weird little trend of bringing out old general managers and making them look like fools, really. We saw it with John Laurinaitis, Teddy Long, and Vickie Guerrero. And in contrast, Shane and Stephanie have been built as like the super cool, ultra intelligent GMs of the future and all that. Even though it's Shane and Stephanie, who we've known about for the better part of, 15 years now. I just don't really like the way that WWE are going about this. Just give Raw to one of them and give SmackDown to the other and have them go at it. There's no need to compare them to these old, loyal servants of the company. Really not a fan. And it is worth pointing out as well that they've handpicked, you know, some of the more comedic GMs. You're not going to see Heyman wheeled out to do this. You're not going to see Bischoff. At the very least, WWE recognise that those are influential figures, and to put it bluntly, that shit wouldn't fly with those guys, and the fans would react badly as well. Next up, it's unfortunately another down, and how sad has the demise of the Vaudevillians been? It might be a little early to say that they're completely written off as you know, enhancement talent, given the fact that the brand split's coming up and they could go on to become major players in one of the 2 tag divisions. But I mean, losing to R-Truth and Goldust, even if it's on a comedic sort of happy-spirited episode of Raw, really doesn't bode well for a couple of guys who, let's not forget, were once regarded as one of the most promising tag teams in NXT. Next, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who might disagree with this point, but I liked the pairing of Enzo and Cass with John Cena. Last week, I ripped apart the decision to pair Enzo and Cass with the Social Outcasts. I said that was a worthless feud. They needed something far more substantial to get their teeth into, and it looks as though I was completely wrong and WWE hadn't locked them into the feud at all, and this is that more substantial thing. They're now part of the feud between AJ Styles and the Club and John Cena, so that really is an intriguing little match for Battleground. I don't think it'll be a classic, I don't think we'll see any sort of major developments there, but it's certainly something fresh. Another up now, the ups are doing far better than I actually anticipated when I started this video. Xavier Woods and the rest of the New Day are in a very intriguing storyline at the moment. Woods was again petrified while the Wyatt family appeared and cut a promo on the Titantron, and this time he actually left Kofi and Big E in the ring and said, you know what, this could spell the end for the New Day, and he left Francesca too in the ring as well. The symbolism with that, man, is genius. He's leaving all the trombone representing the fun and the happy times they had, and he's leaving and going off up the ramp on his own, and it was just a fantastic segment top to bottom, and I'm very intrigued to see where this one goes. Next up, and you knew I was going to bring up this part of the show, I mean, it was the main event in name only, really, that ludicrous, it was like 64-a-side tag team match between Team America and Team International, or Team USA and Team World. And we all knew that Team USA were going to win because, you know, it's Independence Day. You can't really fault WWE for that. But man, was this match silly. It did no one any favours apart from maybe one person who I'll come to later. But it was just a series of quick finishes, you know, lightning fast pinfalls, no one really getting the rub, and a lot of silly refereeing decisions as well. Firstly, Kevin Owens was disqualified for hitting his own partner, Sami Zayn, with a chair. I'm not sure if that's in the rules. And then Kane, even more bafflingly, was disqualified for hitting Kevin Owens with the chair, despite the fact that Owens had already been ejected from the match and attacked Kane first. So this match just seemed to be a case of everyone get in, do a few seconds of your thing, get out again. But then that does bring me on to our next point. And I'm sure that a few of you in the comment section are going to be like, oh, Jack, why are you doing that? Zack Ryder, he's not even 9 points. Zack Ryder is legitimately one of my favourite mid-carders on the entire roster. He has worked so hard to get himself over the years and really deserved that moment at WrestleMania. And it was so heartbreaking to see it ripped away from him the very next night. However, this, although I don't think it's quite as significant a moment, this was still very important for Zack. He won the main event of Raw. How often can you say that? Yes, there was a considerable assist from the Big Show, but he was there to put the finishing touches on it. And, you know, somehow, some way, Vince McMahon was convinced to allow Zack Ryder to be the hero for one night. And, you know, if I wasn't such a hard bastard, I may have even shed a tear. So that's all we've got time for this week on Ups and Downs, and predictably, you know, the negative points outweighed the positives 6-5, which is a far closer score than I anticipated. But I will say this. It is quite a misleading score as well, because the show was far more of a slog than I've made it seem here. Yes, there were a lot of good points hidden in amongst the bad, but the bad points, even though there were only 6 of them, they dragged and dragged for the majority of the show, so certainly not one I'd recommend to watch again. Nevertheless, the only way is up from here, and hopefully WWE can get things right back on track next week. And I'll see you then.